What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we are here with Chase of Sulfur. Thank you for being here, man. It is great to have you here.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Your whole new album, The Burden of Faith, is absolutely kick ass. I cannot wait for the rest of the world to hear this on March 24th. Only 23 more days to go. For people who haven't heard the full length album yet, do you feel that the first four singles that we heard so far, such as Death of Circumstance and Stain and Rot, etc., is a good representation of the whole album, or is that just scratching the surface of what's to come?
Oh man, I mean it's a little bit of both. It's a good representation of the album, but also we have a lot more songs with, good little tidbits in for like fans that, we haven't really shown yet. So like even the title track is this 7 minute long like epic. So we really wanted to go over the top with this album, and we wanted our fans to be proud of what we put out. So um yes, it's a good representation, but there is a lot more to come as well.
For people who may have discovered you guys on the Oblivion EP that you released previously, was that maybe sort of like a good preview or a good like representation of the direction of Sulfur was going to go into, or were you still kind of like testing the waters in a way with that EP?
So with that one, I feel like we were kind of like testing the waters just to feel like, to get a good feel for the sound and what we wanted to go for. And I feel like we did a good job with it, but I feel like this next album just kind of goes like three or four steps ahead, like we really put like our all into writing these songs and kind of like really delving into what we want to do.
Hmm. Was there at all a preconceived vision of what you wanted this new album to sound like? Did you go into the studio with an idea in mind, or was this like a more experimental and sort of improvisational process going from the Oblivion EP to now?
We definitely went in with the mindset that we wanted it to be heavier and crushing. With the singing, it was kind of a surprise because originally planned Ricky was going to pull back a little bit on the singing, but once we got in there and it was me, him, and the producer, we just did what felt natural, and like he really embraced like his voice, and um, it was something kind of like lightning in a bottle. You know what I mean? It was kind of that in itself was kind of like the lightning in a bottle. With musically, like I had everything planned, set, ready to go, but that was kind of a surprise and a nice one too. So yeah.
It seems like I would almost call this album like a deathly symphony in a way. I feel like it has, that sort of epic when you go from Stain and Rot to ending with the title track in a way. Is it fair to say that everybody in Of Sulfur takes inspirations from many different sources in a way? Because I feel like this isn't a deathcore record, a death metal record, a symphonic death metal record. I feel like it goes all along the sort of heavy metal spectrum.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When Ricky started this band, his favorite bands were Shadow of Intent and Lorna Shore, and they're just killing the game with like black and deathcore. Um, but with me, it's more like I love like bands like Killswitch Engage and Trivium. Our bass player likes Dark Funeral and like black metal bands, and our drummer played in black metal bands. And I mean, even our new touring guitar player Trey like has so many different like inspirations from his background. We kind of like it's an amalgamation of everybody's influences all in one. And I'd say to call it just a like blackened deathcore album would kind of just not do it justice.
Yeah, definitely. To call it like one genre of anything wouldn't do any album justice. I think it's fair to say, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
When it comes, being that you are into the whole, I'm totally contradicting myself, but being that you are into the whole metalcore style with Killswitch Engage and Trivium, that was my biggest inspiration going into the realm of heavy metal. For your guitar playing, being that Of Sulfur consists of both clean vocals and very aggressive vocals, do you almost have to like adjust your playing style, or does the chord progression or the technique change depending on the vocal style that you're playing to?
So yeah, I kind of write the guitar knowing that I may have to do vocals over them. So like I always keep it in the back of my head. So I wish I could, play guitar and sing like Matt Heafy or, like Dave Mustaine, like do all these technical riffs while I'm like singing. But Man, it is a lot harder than anybody would think. So like my thing, and I'm more of a groove guy anyways, so it's like the groovier the rhythm is on the chorus and the prettier the lead on top of it, that the other guitar can do, that's what makes a great chorus, is not just one single solitary part. Like we build these choruses to make sure like everything is kind of like its own thing. The vocals do its part, the rhythm guitar does its part, the lead guitar does its part. But yeah, I do have it in the back of my mind, and I'm definitely working on kind of teching it up a bit. But at the end of the day, I'll probably always remain a groove player. That's my niche.
Yeah, watch of Sulfur turns into Archspire on the next album or something like that.
Yeah, I wish. Those guys are fucking insane.
Those guys, I've interviewed them, all great guys, but I refuse to believe that they're human. I don't think that they are human at
No,
all. For them to play the way that they do, and also just be the goofballs that they are, like that, they are kind of like a special breed of living organisms, if you will.
yeah, they're guitar playing robots, man, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Yep. I love how their drummer just wears a shirt that says 420 BPM motherfucker or just something like that. Like everybody in that band is insane.
Dude, yeah, they're gnarly, gnarly musicians. That band is so sick.
Yeah, you guys touring together would be an epic, epic show.
Bro, that would be so nuts.
Yeah, that would be
That'd be
insane.
sick.
When I hear the guitar work on this album, like it is so aggressive, and but it also, like, I get a lot of emotion from the riffs that are incorporated there and the groove that's in there. Like, it has the ability to make me move and kind of like affect the emotional state of mind. Is everything that we're hearing on this album instrumentally, is that like a reflection of an emotion that you were feeling at that particular time, or are you kind of like looking at the lyricism or like thinking of a lyrical idea and kind of like addressing an element outside of who you are?
So yeah, actually it's flip-flopped. So I use this as an outlet like for my emotions. I've never been one to, like really like wear my emotions on my sleeve or anything like that. I'm usually like pretty like chill, happy-go-lucky guy, but like I'm also human. I do feel things, and I kind of use this music more so as an outlet. Like Earthen is a prime example. I wanted to write a sad song at that time. I wanted it to still be heavy, but I wanted the emotion to come through on the song. And I think Ricky, when he was writing the lyrics, really picked up on that. And, it became a beautiful tribute for his nephew who had passed, and he kind of like picked up that was like the sad song, and like that's what I wanted to write, and he kind of like picked it up on his own. I didn't even have to like, I just sent him the songs and was like, here you go, dude, write whatever you feel like writing, and he nailed it. Like, and I feel like that's kind of like the job too when it comes to somebody who writes the music versus somebody who writes the lyrics. If the two are separated, like it's the other person's job to kind of pick up on those things, and we kind of have like that connection where he can like pick up on the feelings that I'm writing, or vice versa.
Does that, would you say that almost adds another layer of meaning to the song, or adds another like type of context to it? Because I'm just gonna tell you this right now. I'm so glad you mentioned Earthrin, because I think that's going to be the track that makes a lot of your fans resonate with. And being that I consider you guys to be just as much part of the movement as Lorna Shore and Shadow of Intent and all these guys just killing it right now, I think that's going to go down as almost kind of like the melancholy anthem in a way, where like Fade to Black was the
Wow.
melancholy anthem of the thrash movement in a way, so
Wow, that's high praise. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, we wanted these songs to be a lot more personal. With the Oblivion EP, we kind of just got a band together and we were still trying to figure things out, and we just knew we wanted it to be like really heavy, and we knew what the theme of the band was going to be, and you know, that was cool and all, but these are a lot more, these are a lot more meaningful to us as like people. And like, granted, like the band's been growing at a great rate. Like it's insane like how much we've done since inception. but it's also been, we're people and we also have struggles, and these have also been very, very hard years for us as well. So, you know, to kind of connect on an emotional level with not only each other but to fans as well, and who can relate to like some of these songs, like Earthen, or if they know somebody like that is nice to their face and like some talk shit behind their back, like in Befoul, or like there's some unique. We just kind of want to connect with our fans on that level, and I feel like this album was the perfect point to do this. So
100%. I think that this is going to be like a classic album again in that sort of movement that we talked about. And thank you for giving us this music. If you don't mind me asking, though, because some people want to use art as a means of escape, but other people want to use art as a means of like confronting their own personal demons in a way. So when you play a song that is more personal versus a song that is not so personal, maybe more fantasy oriented or something like that, does it almost hit differently when you're playing those riffs in a way? Does it almost feel like you're feeling a different energy that you're channeling into that song?
yeah, absolutely. So, oh man, what's a good example? Like here, a good example would probably be Fowler, because I can relate to the lyrical content of it and everything like that. But that song was kind of an amalgamation of mine and Matt's, and Matt more so, who is our ex guitar player who helped write the album. And for that, I feel like he connected more with the song. So when I'm playing it, it's like it's a fun song to play, but it's like I don't really feel anything when I personally play it because I didn't write it. I don't know the emotion that really went into it. He does. And versus Earthen, where we had Ricky's family come out, watch the song, and it's like I need to play every note correctly and make sure that I really hit it home with like the guitar solo or the riffs or this and that. So yeah, I mean, you could say that. I mean, obviously we try to play like all our heart out every show that we can, but I definitely feel things more so towards songs that I may have more of a connection to than anything else. And I feel like it's kind of the same for Ricky as well. I mean, he did do the lyrics on all the songs, so maybe he doesn't have that feeling. But when you share the writing responsibilities, it's one of those things where it's like maybe one person feels more than the other does.
Has Of Sulfur ever approached like songwriting from the more conceptual standpoint? Like, did a lyrical idea or a concept maybe help guide your hand with regards to how the chord progressions come, or was music always needed before the lyrical idea or the meaning would come into play?
No, Ricky actually has ideas from time to time, and we're like, oh, we should definitely use that. And like, I'll like, we'll write songs, and then we'll be like, he'll be like, that's the part I want to use it on. You know what I mean? So, not necessarily writing around it, but like he'll always have ideas before and stuff that we'll use. But I guess in that aspect, you'd say, yeah, music usually comes beforehand, but not to say we don't have ideas of what we want to do before we write the music.
Do you believe inspiration, whether it would be for lyrics or for guitar riffs or something, is inspiration something that could really be sought out, or does inspiration just kind of strike when you least expect it?
Yeah, it cannot be sought out. I know that firsthand. um, there are days where I'll sit in front of the computer and I will want to write. I'm sorry,
No, you're good.
and I will want to write, and I just absolutely cannot. Like it is physically impossible for me. I'm not feeling inspired at all. And then there are days where I'll crank out like two songs, or like I'll have like all these ideas that I need to get out. So I feel like it kind of just hits when it's least expected, and I feel like that's how it's. I feel like that's just kind of how it's meant to be. Like you can't go and just put your emotions into something when you're not feeling it. Or I'm not that type of person, anyways,
Yeah.
and I feel like most great songs just don't happen that way.
Yeah. I had a discussion with my tattoo artist one time, and she said that if she only tattooed when she was inspired, she wouldn't be able to pay her rent. So part of me does
Hmm.
wonder, like, has there ever been a time where maybe you just had to hit yourself or look in yourself extra harder or really just like. So I've always said that just because something is forced doesn't mean that it is going to be something that turns out rather mediocre.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, we so we were kind of on crunch time with uh part of the album, and we needed like one more song to go, and we were kind of all having trouble. And what I mean, it sucks that it happened, but it helped us write the song. Like there was a point where needed to have one more song for the album, and our friend Jerry Dominguez had passed away, and Matt and I was going to cancel the writing session for the day, but Matt said no, we're going to write. He would want us to write. We're going to use it, and we're going to write a song. And like again, that's something it happened to inspire us, and we needed another song, and we were having some issues coming up with ideas and stuff, but that kind of like pushed. And like I don't know, it's so weird for me because we need to use like these life experiences in order to write almost. And it's like it would be unfair for me to say that I can like just crank it out and like be like, yeah, I got tons of songs. I have tons of riffs, but as far as like tons of like song ideas and stuff like that, it's very hard to put something together like that with no inspiration or something lifeless. You know what I mean?
Definitely. It is one of the cruelest aspects in an artist's life that when we are at our worst, our art tends to be at its best. I mean, I think some of the art that I've seen, both musically, visually, film, all that, since the 2020, because the world definitely took the turn for the worse, I feel like the art that we're seeing right now is some of the best that we've seen.
Oh, 110%. Like some of the stuff that's come from the pandemic has been insanely good. And like so many great bands have come from it as well. It's like, yes, one of the shittiest things that has happened to the planet Earth, and like, everybody was affected by it. But at the same time, like, I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in without the pandemic. And, I don't know if a lot of people would be either. So it in a way, silver lining, there were some good things that happened. I'm not going to sit here and say the pandemic was a good thing, but
Well, I think with I remember when the Oblivion EP came out. It happened in the summer of 2021. So during that time, it
mhm.
was Delta variant. Everybody was panicking about it all shutting down again. So I feel like the Oblivion
Yep.
EP is the soundtrack to Panic. And now, knocking on all the fucking wood in the world right now, but with we are slowly starting to move on from this. I almost feel like the Burden of Faith is almost going to be kind of like the soundtrack to our escape. No in flames, pun intended. But
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, we put our all into this one, and it's something really different. It's still crushingly heavy like the EP, and I feel like even more so. And I just want people to relate to it and be able to be happy and listen to our music. And I hope that it takes us other places, to people we've never played to before. And that's all I can really hope for it. Like
definitely. There was Lorna Shore fans who were crying during your set and really hitting hard from it during that Gramercy show. And I know that when you
yeah.
guys come here with Chelsea Grin, it's gonna be just as intense. So people are more
Oh, thank
stoked.
you, man.
Um, and here's the most difficult question of the interview, if you're ready.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
How do you know when you're finished with a song?
That is the most difficult question. You know, that's such a hard question because I feel like we cut down a lot of our songs, and that's kind of like weird because we have 7 minute long songs, 5 minute long songs, 6 minute long songs. But
Competing with Dream
you
Theater there.
know, yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, we cut down a lot of ours because there's too much. So I kind of we kind of do overkill. So I don't know if I can really even speak to that really. but I mean, it's finished when the 7-minute song feels like a 2-minute song. That's the best kind of advice I can give anybody. If it feels over, it's done.
It's kind of like the Einstein time is relative sort of effect.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh,
Yes.
awesome.
So, I mean, as long as you're happy listening to it and it's, you're not like, okay, when is this song going to end? That's when it's over.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You got the Einstein effect. You now my analysis of sulfur is going to be. You already have sulfur as an element. With a science element. Now I'm going to say if Albert Einstein was in a deathcore band, the result is of sulfur.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
You're making us sound way smarter than we actually are, but I appreciate it.
Einstein core. That put that genre on Metal Archives.
I love it. I'm going to get the wig and everything.
Oh, oh my God! I'm gonna hold you to that. I know what to expect now during the Chelsea Grin show.
I got you, bro. I got you.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Is it easier to come up with ideas when you're in the company of your bandmates and you're all working together, or isolation being another great fuel for creativity? You prefer to write riffs and song structures and chord progressions when you're more alone in your own element.
So, me personally, I prefer to be very collaborative. I like having another person there. I like having another person be like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that sucks. Maybe do this, maybe do that. However, you know, I can do both. And like Earthen was the first thing I wrote for the record. And I did that 100% by myself. Nobody else helped, and like structured it, wrote all the riffs, wrote the solo and everything like that. So it's like I could do both, but I definitely prefer to be collaborative. Ricky as well is always sending me lyrics like, does this sound good? What do you think? Like, is this too much? And we're not afraid to give each other constructive criticism on anything. So, I mean, I feel like a band that collaborates together like that, like, it isn't really afraid of, you know, constructive criticism or anything like that is kind of like the recipe to where you're going to thrive. Like, nobody likes having that band member that's like, well, I like the riffs, so the riffs going in there.
Yeah,
you know
yeah. But you're always gonna have that one structure of song where you're gonna have to die on the hill with it.
No, it happens for sure. And like, there have been a couple riffs where I'm like, I really do like the riff. I don't know. But there have also been times where I was wrong and we've come up with something better too. Like, I'm not always right.
Yeah, of course. That's why it's a band, right?
110%.
Yeah, and I think you can get like the best of both worlds too, because isolation is, of course, a great fuel for creativity, but there's also something to be said about art coming out of camaraderie as well.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's probably why I gravitate more towards that, is like, I want to do something with people. I want to come up with people. I don't want to just be like the lone man on the mountain, because that sucks. You want to have people there with you. You want to celebrate together, and you want to be together. Like, and nobody wants to be alone. So, maybe that is why we gravitate towards things like that. People like me and, my band.
Definitely. And the final question I wanted to ask you is when I saw you play with Lorna Shore, that was a fantastic opening slot, definitely an opener to remember. And I went and dove into the Oblivion EP, and I couldn't wait to hear more. But seeing you live was a very different experience than simply listening to the album. Of course, the way that you guys move and bring in a totally different atmosphere on the live setting. Is there at all a similar energy that you channel into your live presence as you do when you're songwriting? Is there anything that ties those two forms together, or do you consider them two completely separate forms of self-expression?
Um, Live is more so, and I know Ricky has said this too, so I can kind of speak for him as well. We just want to have fun and rock, man. Like, that's all we want to do. And like, yeah, the tone of the songs is a very serious thing. And yes, we do like look like big, scary, angry like dudes on stage, but there are also times where you'll see me fooling around. I'll run to the other side of the stage while somebody's doing a solo, and like, I'll look at their guitar, I'll tap their guitar, or like,
Fuck them up.
we just, yeah, exactly. We just want to have fun with each other. Like, and I feel like people like that more, like it because it's genuine. We just kind of get up there, do our thing, and we want to include the crowd. We want the crowd to have fun, and I think that's why people enjoy it. It's not, and it's like it's not perfect like the record is, and like I mean, it's kind of like that raw energy, like we really, really, really just want to have fun on stage and make sure that we hype the crowd up, especially in an opening slot like that for the other bands and warm them up.
Definitely, definitely, and again, it was a fantastic opening slot, and I think people like to occasionally see the one fuck up here and there. It shows that you guys are people.
Yeah, yeah. I would rather have fun and fuck up, like, but and then be completely stiff and robotic and perfect. You know what I mean? And not to shit on anybody who does that, because that's if that's your thing, then that's your thing. But our thing is we like to have fun. We like to move around. I will die on the hill that if I can fuck up and still have fun, or if I can like not be 100% perfect like the album and have fun, I would rather do that.
Yeah. I think it depends on the style. Like if you have a band like Tool and they're moving around like they're sick of it all, I think it would come off a little strange. I think it depends on
Oh yeah.
yeah, the type of show. You guys, I hate to break it to you, but you guys are going to have to move 24/7. Welcome to your career.
I'm okay with it, man. That gives me, some cardio on stage and stuff like that. I need to get my steps in.
Yeah. I can't wait to see, like Lorna Shore, Shadow of Intent, or you guys doing this when you're in your 70s, maybe being in the wheelchair, hanging doing the riffs.
Yeah, bro, you never know. I mean, look at the Stones. Like, they're still running around on stage and shit like that, too.
I saw them recently in Sweden. I gotta tell you, Mick Jagger needs to donate his body to science, because the fact that he can move around like that is crazy. But if you guys are doing that at his age, then your genre is going to be called near deathcore.
I love it. I love it. You trademark that and send it off, bro.
Only if you trademark Luciphone. I'm highlighting it now so people could see that. So.
All right, I'll trademark Luciphone. We'll both get rich together.
All right,
love it.
Let's do it. But before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time and for such an awesome conversation. Is there just anything else with Of Sulfur you would like to promote for the release of The Burden of Faith? I know you got the Chelsea Grin tour coming up. This will be uploaded by midnight tonight, so if you have something confirmed and scheduled but hasn't been announced yet, just don't say it here.
Got you. Yeah, I mean, for all of our fans watching that are in Vegas, our album release show is March 17th at Backstage Bar and Billiards. We do have the Chelsea Grin show coming up. And of course, Burden of Faith does come out March 24th. I'm super stoked about it. I hope everybody likes it as much as we liked, enjoyed writing it. And I hope y'all connect with it. That's it.
Definitely will. I can't wait for the rest of the world to hear this. Thank you so much, everybody. Of Sulfur, The Burden of Faith, coming out March 24th via Century Media. Be sure to pick that up. We will see you next time on Heavy New York.